Happy Halloween, my loves! Thank you so much for tuning in to this month's Patreon tutorial video exclusive for $10 patrons and higher. Today's video is going to be how to paint noses. And as usual, I will have all of the art supplies I used in today's video, along with links to purchase them listed in the description. Noses are a very challenging body part to paint, and it's a commonly requested tutorial, so I'm going to be trying my best to explain my process. And it's really hard to explain how to paint a nose unless you also pay attention to the other areas on the face that surround and are connected to the nose. For example, the bridge of the nose is connected to the surrounding cheekbone areas, the brow ridge, and the eye socket. And if you're shading a nose, for it to look realistic, you have to consider the shadows cast by the brow ridge and eye socket onto the bridge of the nose, and also the shadow that the bridge of the nose casts onto the eyes and the rest of the face. Also, the area right in between the bottom of the nose and the top of the upper lip, I think it's called philtrum. That little groove also is quite tricky to paint and can really influence how cohesive and realistic your nose looks. So in today's video, I will be showing you the parts that I paint around the nose as well as the nose itself. For my personal style, I like to make my noses rosy red, almost as if the character has a cold or is severely blushing. I don't know, I just think it's really cute. So I always start off after laying down a basic light gray undersketch. For my color blocking, I start off with the most vibrant shades of pink and red. I like to use cadmium red medium and luminous opera mixed with white and often diluted with a little bit of its complementary color, which is green. And then after that, I'm laying down the basic shadows and highlights of the rest of the face. So in this portrait here, the nose bridge is casting a heavier shadow on the right side. It's something you won't see until later, but right now I am just kind of almost connecting all the little pieces. I'll never work on the nose just by itself. I'll often work on the eyes, nose, and lips congruently because they influence each other so much. So if I shaded my eyes darker, I'll notice that the nose shadow needs to be darker and I'll tweak that. If I add highlights on the lips and that makes the nose look too dark, I will also tweak the nose as well. So I kind of paint the entire face all at once. I'm also a big fan of painting button noses, which is why the ball of the nose has a little extra shadow around it just to make that ball shape stand out more. And for the wings of the nose, which are basically the bits of skin that overlap the nostrils, I'll always make sure to give them a realistic shape by not making the wings too dark. I think the darkest parts of the nose should be the nostrils and the section where the wings touch the cheek, so where your nose kind of lays on top of your face. The shadow cast between the ball of the nose and onto the wings should not be too dark. Another important thing to keep in mind is the shape of the nostrils. No matter what angle you're viewing the nose at, the nostrils are never two perfectly round or oval holes. The nostrils have a very interesting shape. It's hard to describe, but if you can see in my portrait here, it follows the curvature of the wings of the nose. So nostrils are not two holes that are drilled perfectly onto your nose. Imagine instead the wings of the nose being like flaps that you fold over and then tuck in. So the holes are almost like an egg shape, I would say. Like they're thinner when they're thinner at the center of the nose and they flare out more towards the edge of the nose. And I apologize, I'm not super fluent in anatomy. Most of my knowledge comes just from practicing and drawing many portraits. I actually picked up a few anatomy terms for the sake of this video. But generally, under normal frontal lighting, you'll see that in most human faces, the forehead, the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, and a little bit of the chin, also the area between the nose and the lips, those are the more lighter areas. And then the darker areas are the sides of the face, underneath the lips, underneath the nose, the eye sockets, and the nose bridge, which are connected in a way to the eye sockets. So when you paint your nose, you have to keep that general rule of thumb in mind. Your nose bridge is one of probably the highest plane on your face. It's the thing that jets out the most on your face. And then that quickly transitions into one of the deepest parts of your face, which is the eye socket. So that transition between shadow and light has to be taken into careful consideration, because you want to make sure that gradient between the shading and the highlights is soft and realistic. And usually before the nose bridge transitions into the forehead, there is a little dip, and therefore should be a soft, small shadow there. And now I'm refining the shadows to make the light source direction more apparent, which is a slightly left light source, casting slightly darker shadows on the right side of the face. The shadows will be most noticeable where the right side of the nose bridge meets the right eye socket, where the ball of the nose meets the right wing of the nose, and also where the right wing of the nose meets the cheek. And the last step is just highlights on the highest points, which are the nose bridge and the tip of the ball of the nose. And that is all. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and that it made sense. If you guys have any requests or feedback for next month's video, feel free to comment on this video or send me a message on Patreon. I love you guys. You guys are the best Patreon family, and I can't wait to see you next month. Bye!